How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. You're here. I'm ready to jump into this podcast. I'm slobberingly grateful for you to show up and just we could just chop it up for just a little bit of your time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And check
Okay,
out our
I'm
little
gonna hit.
hat walls we've got.
For sure. If you look, I got a bit of a hat collection myself.
Yeah, you've got a couple more than I do.
Well, let's hit this record button, which I just did. We're gonna get it started, and no podcast would be started without the customary over-the-top intro, mainly because we love you for coming. And again, we are slobberingly grateful to have you here. The album is called Miles and Maybes, all the way from Kansas City, Missouri, with a brief stop at Park University. Go Pirates! The four-chair turning showstopper coming from you from the top bunk of the joyride, right into your eyes and ear holes. My favorite commotion, if you keep the score, Casi Joy, welcome to the podcast.
What an intro. I love
I
it.
feel like I could go home right now. This is all I need.
Yeah, this is great. Keep talking.
Look, I want to say thanks for coming on the podcast again. But on top of that, man, you inherent you didn't know this, but this weekend you made a very good impression on me because, like most people, I don't know if you noticed, bit of a Lions fan, bit of a football fan, and you just performed at the NFL draft. Like that was awesome.
It was the Super Bowl parade actually. And yeah, it was insane.
Like I was doing this thing where I gotta get my homework together while you're, coming on this podcast. I'm just like, okay. I have no hate. I love Pat. That's my homeboy, Pat, my homeboy. But at the same time, I'm like, was she there? What, hold on, wait. Doing a little Instagram stalking, and I saw it. I'm like, whoa, hold up. Were you there? That's why I just wanted
Yeah.
to bring that up.
Yeah, we got to meet Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and it was insane. It was definitely a blackout experience. I wish I could tell you more about it, but it was just like, what is life?
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. Now, I want to talk about Miles and Maybes, but I want to put a brief pause in this because I want to talk about the origin story. Everyone, look, okay, I'm a little different, and I'll explain why. But we know you. The year was 2017. You were on The Voice, and you did the thing where all four of them turned around in your blind audition. You
Yeah.
did your thing, girl. Now, I'm going to say this with the utmost love and respect. I did not watch that episode. I saw the clips,
Yeah.
but this is where I learned about Cassie Joy. And like I said, no disrespect. I just hope you understand it. When I go to sleep at night, one of my favorite pastimes, or one of the things is I go to sleep to, is Reba. Old episodes of Reba on TMT. Not because it's boring or anything like that. It's just I'm so comfortable with that show where it turns into, like, I don't know, a lullaby to some degree.
Yeah.
And if you leave your TV on after Reba, music videos play.
Oh.
And that I woke up and Business of Breaking Up was on. And I'm like,
Oh,
Cassie Joy, huh? All right.
that's
And
so cool.
then from there, I worked backwards in learning about your music career and then bringing us to right now. I had to work backwards to get to this present day. But I
Yeah.
want to give a shout out to CMT and old episodes of Reba, and that's how I kind of like fell in love with you.
That is so cool. That's so interesting.
And look, I feel like after listening to Miles and Maybes that I already did this interview before. I feel like I know you because your music is incredibly honest. And I almost feel like I'm getting to know you with that. Was that a choice or intention, or do you just kind of like write what you know?
It was. I feel like it was definitely intentional. It was my first album of, all original music, and songs that I've written that I had ever put out. So I felt like this was a really good opportunity to, you know, kind of change what I had already been doing, which, my name is Cassie Joy. And so a lot of times I feel a little bit of pressure to always be joyful and happy and positive. And, with everything that's kind of transpired over the last 2, 3 years with, everybody, I felt like it was, I've got this platform and it's kind of a responsibility of mine to, peel back the curtain a little bit and get a little bit more honest and raw. And also for me too, it was kind of, it was pretty therapeutic to write all of these songs and to kind of decide how deep and how open and raw I was going to get. And I was very nervous to put out all of these kind of new subjects that I haven't touched on personally. But the response has been so great and it's, my fans have really shown me that like it's okay to completely open up and we'll still accept your weirdness and the highs and the lows.
Now, do you feel that with certain topics you need to dig a little bit more into yourself, or you have a line of where I'm like, oh my God, that's too much. You're giving out too much information.
I felt like that on a couple songs, like Life of My Party and Me, Myself, and My. Those were some hard subjects for me to sing about and to open up about. And those were two of the ones that I was like, do I pull back a little bit or do I just go full steam ahead? And I'm like, it's an album. It's the first one. Let's just go for broke. I'm just putting it all out there because I know that there are so many other people out there that feel the same ways that I do. And that's, why I love music so much is because there's always a song to sit with you in any situation that you're in.
I'm glad you brought that up because I had a question about that. The song My Life and My Party. Did you give up Midnight Bacardi? And the follow-up question to that, what is Midnight Bacardi and how did that show up?
So yeah, so that one is about just I have an incredible marriage and we've been together for 11 years. And so, when you're in a long-term relationship or a marriage, the number one question you get asked is, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? And, that started to kind of wear on me a little bit. And I was like, like this is really heavy on my heart that, that everybody is putting so much pressure on this subject. And I just really felt like writing about that and opening up about it and how, we're still having so much fun in our marriage and in our life and traveling and taking our dogs everywhere we go. And so I just wanted to write a song about, it's kind of okay to just live your life and not rush and be on other people's timelines.
Hey, as a person who rocked the ring itself, I have children. I get it. I
Yeah.
totally understand. So I am curious though. When you go through these things and you have these quote expectations from other people, does that put any pressure on you as you work on new material? Because you're kind of an open book, but at the same time, I would imagine, I'm guessing, you know you more than me, you would kind of keep some stuff to yourself.
Um, I would like to say that I do keep some things to myself, but I do feel like this album is just, it's all of it. And it was so scary to write some of it. And I kept wanting to pull back. And, even with Life of My Party, that one almost didn't make it onto the album because of, some other people's comments of, this is a really specific song and will it work?
Mhm.
And I'm like, I know that's true, but also like it's really important to me to put it out and for other people to hear that are maybe going through the same, scenario. So, yeah, I feel like there was no holding back on this album.
And that makes sense.
Except
But
no name dropping. I didn't name drop, but everything is there.
and that's cool because some people, I would like to say this, myself included, sometimes deal with writer's block. And usually that writer's block may come in where you are juggling those things, or you don't want to name drop, or you don't want to be too specific, or you just plain don't want to talk about it. So
Yeah.
does that come up, or is that just kind of like, how do I tell my story without telling my story?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the most times that I get writer's block is when I don't want to confront something that's been weighing on me. Like say you're going through a breakup or something, I feel like it's really easy to go through a writer's block because you don't want to feel the things that you're supposed to be putting in that song. And
Right.
sometimes, um, with some, like with Census Fail, one of the songs on the album, that was one that I wanted to solo write. And so it took me a really long time because I had to confront a bunch of, past feelings and traumas on my own and just sit in a little bit of darkness to get that song out. But yeah, if I'm not feeling like doing that and I don't know if I can coax all the heaviness on my heart at the time, that's when I love to bring in a co-writer. And I did that for Business of Breaking Up. I was like, I need someone to yank this information out of me.
I'm curious about that because yeah, when you do bring in co-writers and friends and people who bring that out of you, is there something that they say where they say like, okay, this is all right to talk about this, but not that, or is it just kind of like, and for lack of a better term, you're in your own head so much that it doesn't really resonate to the average person?
Yeah, and that's why co-writing is so cool because they bring you out of your head or, bring in their own perspectives, and like cool vocabulary, working with different people, they say different things certain ways and yeah, it always starts out as like a therapy session basically. You walk in the room and it's what's been on your heart and then tears. And then we write all the songs.
I'm curious. I like how you said wordplay because that was one of the greatest things. While listening to Miles and Maybe, your voice is awesome, but
Thank you.
it was the like I'm such a nerd with this when it comes down to I listen to the words, man. You turn into that guy. There's a lot of clever wordplay in your lyrics, and that makes me feel like not only are you just out, and I don't want to put you in a box like that saying just, but a singer, but you're a writer too, because like it's almost like you get it when you see people like me where it's just like, oh, okay, like and I'll use an example, like the song Namaste.
Mhm.
Namaste has a lot of wordplay in it. I'm very curious, where does that show up? Or are those like little jokes maybe for you and your friends, or is it just something that just kind of grow naturally?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them probably are like inside jokes and like little things that like only we know. Um, but yeah, I just really like to mess around with words, and I started as a poet when I was younger, and I just love all the weird things you can do with puns and like finding different words to rhyme. Yeah, it's just super fun to like really dissect like how strong can we make these two words? It could just say like, hey there, but like, what if we made it cooler?
Mhm. Now, okay, you've been doing this way before The Voice. I'm not knocking The Voice in any way, shape, or form, but when I guess the public at large, the nation, got a chance to know you was The Voice. How was that as your national coming out party? Because you got a chance to see behind the scenes, to produce it. You just jumped right into the deep end with The Voice versus pretty much what you've ever experienced. How was that experience to see the behind the scenes story versus what we saw as a nation in front of the camera?
Yeah, the behind the scenes it's very different, but it's also like so crazy to see the behind the scenes when you've watched the show before and you're like, oh, that's really the chairs. There's really chairs and like there's a button and I will tell you it is extremely frigidly cold backstage. I would have two robes on over my wardrobe. It was so cold because of all the
Why?
lights and equipment and all that. So yeah, they crank the AC in there. But yes, just seeing the behind the scenes and having so much experience performing and traveling and touring and recording before the show, I think set me up for success the best that it could. Because I was already used to the stage and crowds and like high pressure go go go, and so I think that was super super helpful. And in getting off of the show, so we were already ready to hit the ground running once my contract was up with the show, and yeah, just immediately went on tour and yeah. I
And
kind
that
of can't
brings
remember
me,
what the question was. I'm just
yeah,
rambling.
no, you nailed it. But that brings me to my next question. Actually, the title of this album is Miles and Maybes. What inspired that title?
So it's kind of it's what I would name like my memoir if I ever wrote one, had that kind of time. Um, but it comes from a line in Under the Hood, which is track one of the album. And we wrote that line of the pre-chorus in Under the Hood, Miles and Maybes, skylines changing, but she ain't broke. And when we wrote that line, it was such a light bulb moment of like miles and maybes. Like that is so all encompassing of what my life is and what my journey has been, is just traveling so many miles, all on the promise of maybes. And that's kind of how I see life, is that, these maybes represent hope and the miles are the journey that gets you there. And there's always these maybes that keep you going down the road and, putting more fuel in the tank.
Speaking of the album, one of the things I think was, and this is my humble opinion, one of the dopest songs on that album was the song "I Do," because that song had a pre-written backstory and now like a, I don't know, future story, I guess. All right, so if I'm out of school at any time, please correct me. But that was written for your now husband
Yeah.
at your wedding, and weddings are already stressful enough,
I
and
know.
then for no reason whatsoever, you recorded a song which is your vows to your now husband. I have so many questions for that. For starters,
Well, well, listen, that's how I made myself more comfortable. I am
okay,
so uncomfortable in my own skin, in crowds, with small talk, with chit chat, and like social things.
you're doing well
And
here. You're
so
doing
far.
well.
And so the thought of just standing with a microphone and speaking my vows, I was like, hell no. And so I decided I'm going to make myself a little bit more comfortable here. Let's sing a dang song. And so I wrote one, and I had to pre-record the guitar part because I had like super long nails on for the wedding, of course, and couldn't play guitar with my Dolly Parton nails on. So I had to sneak into my little tiny clown car at the time, and I recorded the guitar like shoved into the back seat so that nobody would know about it. And yeah,
Yeah,
it was a crazy little excursion I went on.
yeah. One of my questions is, okay, that is your husband. How do you practice that? Because it's just sort of like, do you? Because it's a surprise.
Yeah, that's the thing. I couldn't practice ever. Ever. Like that the song had never come out of my face hole until I was in a wedding dress, and it was a really terrible idea thinking back now. Like I was so nervous. I don't even think I was thinking about like like that there was a wedding happening at that point. It was just do not forget these words, don't screw up. It's like my voice is so dry because I'm nervous, and yeah, it was, but like, no regrets. Love that
Now
that got to happen.
I have to ask, like right after the wedding, nuptials, everyone loves you, it's great, and then immediately hit the road, like immediately.
Yeah.
So and you got an awesome co-pilot, you signed on for life. If you're
He's
keeping
the
score,
pilot.
if you're keeping score, you nailed it in Partners in Time. Like this was it. When I'm listening to this album, I'm like, oh, this is essentially a diary. Okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
now with that said, when you hit the road, I know different artists require different things. What is your must-haves on the road?
Oh, probably some
Yeah, you see that one coming.
um on the road, I think a must-have is our smoker. We have a little like mini Green Mountain Grill smoker, and like the legs fold up
Love.
and it fits in our underbay of the bus. And we got that thing. I was playing at like a barbecue festival like years ago, and Brian, my husband, walks up to me on stage and says, "I just bought this smoker." And I'm like, "What?" Like
No, it's a
and
big deal.
yeah, it was. And it's his pride and joy. And now she's mine too. And yeah, we take her everywhere we go. And
I,
we're always throwing anything on the smoker. We just smoked some cream cheese the other day, 5 pounds of bologna, essentials.
yeah. And hey, I rock with them because I'm a master built man myself, and any excuse I need to smoke anything, I'm out there. I'm
Oh
out there.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh
We'll
yeah.
throw cookies in there, anything.
Anything. I am a fan of hickory and or pecan chips.
Yep.
Maybe I'm bougie, but here we are.
Yep, we go
Um,
back and forth.
Now I read on the internet. Now tell me how true this is.
Oh.
That you love, 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 love spicy food.
Yes. That's so
Mm.
true. I wish I was closer, but I have a big bottle of hot sauce right next to my bed right now.
What kind? Like I didn't get any for this in the case you said that was totally false. What is it?
It is called El Yucateco. It's,
Okay.
I think that's the brand. Yeah, El Yucateco. It comes in a little tiny green bottle, and that does not cut it for me. And so I am on my second gallon of it. I found it in bulk on Amazon, and so I just have a gallon of hot sauce on me at all times.
I could be a bit of a spice lord myself, and I would like to. I don't know how many people recommend different hot sauces to you, or
Oh,
throughout the course.
give it.
It's two. It's two. Well, three technically. One is cheating. It's called, and I don't know how hot you get, but if you ever go to the Pepper Palace, they have the flatliner. Are
Okay.
you familiar with that? It comes in this baby bottle, but one droplet is all you
Oh, might have
need.
lost you. Oh no.
You can still hear me, right? Uh-oh. Hold on. I got you. I can see
Did I
you.
lose you?
No, I'm still here. I think I can hear you.
Oh, now you're
Yeah,
back.
yeah. You
Okay.
froze a bit, but
Oh, you did too. Sorry.
yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, okay,
But
great.
what I was getting at is there's this thing called the flatliner from the Pepper
Okay.
Palace. It comes in a bottle about not even 2 inches thick. You
Oh,
need a drop, and you're gonna be set all week. That
okay.
one little drop,
Yeah. Well,
and
then you
there.
need to try, have you ever tried Mad Dog
Yes,
357?
yes.
Nobody ever knows about Mad Dog.
Oh my God, that thing is so small, but I promise you, you can make like chili and just put like an eye
We do a
droplet in there,
toothpick.
and
Yeah.
you're fine.
Yeah. Or dead.
Yeah. However, we will find out how you relate to sauce based on that.
Yeah.
Now, for the more casual things, I totally recommend Melinda. I don't know if you know the brand.
Mm,
It's called Melinda, and they have a different line that's more quote unquote tolerable.
okay.
They have different habaneros, ghost peppers. I trust me, it's just I can be a bit of a spice lord myself.
Yeah.
So thank you. It's finally someone else who knows this. I always feel
Yeah.
like I'm speaking a different language.
Yeah. No, I'm all about like if it's not making me cry, why am I eating it?
Exactly. I have lost 5 pounds out of sweat just by having
Yeah.
some of the stuff I have.
Yeah. See, self-care.
Exactly. One other thing I read on the internet that you gotta have your Netflix aficionado. Now,
Oh,
if you're anything like my wife, do you rock with the murder doc and chill? Oh, okay,
I love murder. Not
okay.
performing it,
Oh well,
obviously.
obvious. I mean,
No, I am all about Dateline, all the murder docs, all about it,
what was
all
the
the
last one you
cops.
watched?
Uh, Probably the Murdaugh murders.
Mm.
I watched that one I think 3 times because I have a thing where like I watch a really good doc and then I'm like, Mom, you have to watch this doc, and then I have to watch her watch the doc, and then I do that with my husband and I have to watch him watch it.
My wife does that with me. And the last one we watched, and I had questions where I was just kind of like, okay, why am I watching this? Is this a warning? I feel like it's a test.
Right?
Uh, the staircase. Did you get a chance to?
We didn't finish that one. I kept trying to get through it and I think I just kept getting distracted.
Oh, trust me, it's a trifecta of it because it is a miniseries as far as a doc. However, the doc was so compelling, they made an actual movie
Oh,
about what happened.
yeah. I
Um,
heard about that. I'll have
Trust
to check
me,
it
without getting into too many details. See, I got a chance to watch the doc and Colin Firth play the part where it's just like, he's almost as believable as the real guy who did it.
Yeah, yeah, those are crazy when that happens. I felt the same way
Yeah.
with the Dahmer doc.
Yes.
Like, is it Evan Peters?
Evan Peters.
Yeah.
I will.
Oh, he was so good.
It's weird because I remember him from the X-Men movies. I'm like, oh my God, you're Quicksilver. And now you're
Yeah.
such a convincing Dahmer
Yeah.
where I don't know how to feel anymore.
Yeah, he's so talented.
Now, I know this. I think I can answer this question, but I feel like I should just ask you since we're here. Do you still find time in your super busy schedule to still substitute teach?
No, I haven't done that in some years. But I do stop by my old elementary school every now and again. Like sometimes I'll stop on the last day of school or something for their recess and go and hang out with them and perform and sign Beanie Babies and whatnot. But yeah, anytime I can get back there, I do.
I thought that would. I think if you did, that would be such a head trip where you're just kind of like, wait, whoa, 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 who's teaching this class? If I'm like
Yeah.
a kid in the class, wait, what? I just saw you.
Yeah, we'd just be hanging out and singing together.
And then like some kid in the back is like, this is biology. Why are we doing this?
Yeah. I should never step foot in a biology classroom, that's for sure.
Um, your work with some of the charities since your rise and has been just been awesome. And not necessarily in a teaching format, but your work with the Craig Morgan Foundation, Autism Speaks, Pediatric Cancer Research, Children's Mercy, Noah. I'm reading at this point. Noah Bandage Project, Team Smile, Big Slick KC, Animal Justice of America, Northland Animal Welfare, American Cancer Society, and suicide prevention, just to name a few. I'm very curious, where do you find the time? Did you just give up on sleep? How are we doing this?
Yeah, I'll sleep when I'm dead, first off.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime a charity comes asking, and especially if it's, in my hometown of Kansas City, um, if I can drop everything, I absolutely will. And a lot of the times, it happens to be when we're in town, and that's like, yes, we get to, double dip and do a show and go and donate some time. But yeah, I feel a responsibility when, I have this platform and this microphone that I use it for good and for change and to help be a voice to, the voiceless. So a lot of animals, a lot of dog or a lot of animal and dog causes and children are my main MOs.
I mean, that's awesome. And I got a few more questions because I don't want to eat up too much of your time. But I'm very curious, what has been ever since you walked off stage of The Voice? Now I'm discounting The Voice right now. Only that. What has been the most surreal thing since then where you just kind of like, oh my God, this is a thing. Oh, this is for real.
Yeah, I think one of the first ones was or the first one that comes to mind was Gulf Coast Jam, getting to play that last year with Florida Georgia Line and down in PCB. And my whole family got to come down, and we all got there a week early so that we could get an Airbnb and just like have some family time and band time on the beach. The band came out early, and it just was like a really nice full circle moment of, getting to treat people to this fun lifestyle that we have been so lucky to get to live. And then also obviously singing the anthem for the Chiefs Super Bowl parade was insane. It was the best day ever. We had the best weather, and singing for nearly 1 million people was, I mean, like, I would say it's a dream come true, but like who even dreams of singing for 1 million people? Like that's just such a huge number. So it was just incredible.
Um, Throughout your time, I'm very curious. Now, nothing against Blake Shelton. He's awesome. So I retroactively went back and watched The Voice. But one of the things I'm curious about is once you're going, has there any been a mentor to kind of like hold you along the way, where it's just like, hey, look, I've been where you've been. Hey, you may want to do this instead of that. This is how you treat people. Been anyone in like strong influences in your career thus far?
Um, I would definitely say, I bounce stuff off of my friends and my team a lot. And, definitely my parents. Um, with everything. I bring them every single situation and problem that I'm going through. And obviously Brian as well. He's my partner in time and crime. And so yeah, we are always having like little business meetings, and yeah, I feel like we bounce off each other and lean on each other quite a bit.
Okay. Um, and I'm gonna flip the question now. Now you got a little veteran on you too. You got a little vet in you. What words of wisdom would you give someone who's trying to put their baby toe in this music thing and they're just trying to figure it out? What advice would you give to someone?
I would say don't start with your baby toe. Just jump all the way in. Try everything. Like just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Even, I went through so many genres. Like growing up when I was a kid, I went through, country and then went to pop and then went to rock and then back to country. And, that's how I found out like, oh, this is where my voice lives, is country music, and this is where I feel the best and the most me. And so I would say, yeah, just trying everything and being everywhere as much as you can. Get out and network and post to every social site, and, all the videos. And it's a lot of hard work, but the life that you get to live, and like, some of the freedoms you get, and like just cool opportunities that you get with doing this when it starts to work is so worth the no sleep, and sometimes missing family events and friend stuff. It's all worth it in the end.
Well, I got one and a half more questions left. I This is the question. We have an audio version of this podcast. Is it cool if we play a few cuts from Miles and Maybes? Because I want as many people as humanly possible to hear your diary of life experiences. Is that cool with you? If we could just play a few cuts?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now that's the hard part because I like them all. So I'm going to ask you, what do you recommend on those, because I'm partial to a few of them.
I would say Hey Dad's one of my favorites for sure. um Lowbrow Lux is
I
another
love
favorite
that.
of
I
mine.
love that.
It tells the story of my life and my love for Dollar Tree and things on clearance. And then a third, I don't know, maybe Life of My Party, since we talked about it. Or
Okay.
if you want to pump things up, I would say Partners in Time, if you want the love story of me and my husband.
All of them are good. And what I'm going to do, we're up against it. This camera, my camera, your camera, you can be found at CasiJoy.com. You know what? Why am I doing your job for you? Please. What you got? Just plug away. It's all you.
Yeah, you can just it's easier to just start out at CasiJoy.com, and that's where you can find music videos, merch, tour dates, and all my little social buttons. Or follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at Casi Joy Music.
This has been awesome. I can't believe this has been a half an hour that quick. It just flew past. You're
Yeah.
welcome to be on this podcast whenever you want. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of your time. And I wish you the most success. And you're just plain awesome. You know
Yeah.
that, but I gotta tell you to your face.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. You should title this episode Hats and Hot Sauce.
We just may. But I got to give you your props. I'm putting the Cassie Joy out there, and this has just been great. So I don't know how to say bye because I kind of don't want to. So I'm just going to say it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, bye.